The final part of the 5th round of the Greatest Champion takes us to Daytona International Speedway as we get ready to go on the track to eliminate 12 drivers. Race 1 is won by Richard Petty 1971 over Jeff Gordon 01, David Pearson 66, and Jimmie Johnson 07. Darrell Waltrip 1981 gets last, with Dale Earnhardt 87, Richard Petty 75, and Buck Baker 57 all back there as well. For race number 2, it's a Dale Earnhardt 1-2 as 1990 Dale Earnhardt and 1986 lead the field in front of Red Byron's 1949 and Richard Petty's 1972. David Pearson 69 gets last, right behind Richard Petty's 79 and Jimmie Johnson's 2010. With 8 races to go, Herb Thomas is the last driver in, 11 points over Tony Stewart and 12 over Dale Earnhardt 1990. The next race is a triple points race at Bristol, which sees Buck Baker 1957 win over Ned Jarrett 65, Jimmie Johnson 06, and Richard Petty 75. Terry Labonte 96 gets last, along Cale Yarborough 1978, Dale Earnhardt 93, and Bobby Allison 83. For race number 2, Red Byron 1949 stuns the field and gets a victory over Dale Earnhardt 1990. Richard Petty 72 is up there again, and Dale Jarrett 1999 finishes last, right behind Bobby Isaac 1970 and Jeff Gordon 1998. With 7 races to go, nothing changes really at the bottom. At the cut line though, David Pearson 66 is now below it, along with Tim Flock 52. Terry Labonte 1996 is also below the cut line, along with Lee Petty 1959. David Pearson 66 is just barely in by 1 point over Tim Flock 52. Terry Labonte 96 is below it as well, along with Lee Petty 59 and Dale Sr. 1993. Tony Stewart's 05 is just barely in, along with David Pearson's 68 season. Currently it appears 3 of Jeff Gordon's titles are at threat of being eliminated as we head to Atlanta Motor Speedway. For race 1 at Atlanta, Richard Petty 1971 wins over Dale Earnhardt 1987. Kyle Larson 2021 is 3rd, and in last place is Yarborough 1977. That is by far that championship's worst run, and Dale Earnhardt 93 finishes 2nd to last and Jeff Gordon 01 3rd to last. For race number 2, Tim Flock 1955 wins over Dale Jarrett 1999. Petty 72 finishes 3rd and Kyle Busch 2019 4th. Bobby Isaac 1970 is last over Richard Petty 1959 and Alan Kawicki 1992. With 6 races to go, David Pearson's 68 is in just barely over Terry Labonte's 1996. David Pearson's 66 is also just barely out, along with Cale Yarborough's 76 and Jeff Gordon's 97. Matt Kenseth is found below the cut line still, and Tim Flock's 1952 gets a little bit closer, and Martin Truex Jr. is now in the warning zone as well. The next triple points race will be at New Hampshire Motor Speedway, where Buck Baker 57 wins over Dale Earnhardt 87. Herb Thomas 53 and Richard Petty 71 get 3rd and 4th, and then last is Jeff Gordon 01, Jeff Gordon 95, and Lee Petty 58. For race number 2, Richard Petty's 1979 wins over Dale Jarrett's 1999. Joe Weatherly's 62 is 3rd, and Dale Earnhardt's 86 is 4th. Again in the second race, 2 of Jeff Gordon's championships bottom out the back of the field. Gordon 97 last and Gordon 98 2nd to last. With 5 races to go now, Cale Yarborough 76 is the last man in, just barely over Tony Stewart's 05. Terry Labonte's 1996 fights being back in, along with Dale Earnhardt's 1980, and David Pearson's 68 has gotten even further away from the cut line. Meanwhile, a 66 variant is below it by quite a bit now. Next race takes us to Indianapolis Motor Speedway, where it's a Cale Yarborough 1-2 as 77 and 78 lock out the top 2. Buck Baker 57 is 3rd, and Richard Petty 71 is 4th. Last place is Cale Yarborough's 76 season, and then Jimmie Johnson's 07 and David Pearson's 66. For race number 2, Bobby Labonte wins over Dale Earnhardt 1986. Joey Logano 22 is 3rd, and Jeff Gordon 98 4th. Last is Dale Earnhardt 1990, and 2010 Jimmie Johnson is 2nd to last, along with Terry Labonte's 1984 putting up a poor run as well. With 4 races to go, David Pearson's 1968 is just the last man in barely over Terry Labonte's 1996. Cale Yarborough's 76 goes even lower as Jeff Gordon's 95 and 97 move closer to trying to advance. Tony Stewart's 05 is just barely in, and Dale Earnhardt's 1980 moves above the cut line now, whilst Jimmie Johnson's 07 is just falling back into being in threat. The next race takes us to our first quadruple points race, where again, for race 1, Cale Yarborough 1977 and 78 lock out the field. Dead last in the race is Jimmie Johnson's 08, a very crucial run since this being a quadruple points race you could lose a ton right now. Herb Thomas is 2nd to last and Rusty Wallace is 3rd to last. For race number 2, Jeff Gordon 1998 wins over Bobby Labonte 2000 and Richard Petty 1972. Tim Flock 55 is 4th. Red Byron 1949 puts up a very poor run, and Bobby Isaac 1970 is right back there as well. 3 more races left, with 2 5-time points races and 1 6-time points race, and anything can happen here right now as Matt Kenseth is the last guy in. He's only in by 8 over Dale Earnhardt 1980 and David Pearson 1968. And Tony Stewart 05 has moved above the cut line, and Jimmie Johnson sunk even further. Dale Earnhardt 1993 has pretty much put himself further away from the cut line, but his 1980 version is the first guy out. Jeff Gordon is trying to fight for any of his titles to be above the cut line, as 3 of them still sit pretty well below it. They'll have to try hard at Charlotte Motor Speedway, where in race number 1, Cale Yarborough 1977 wins again over 2 Dale Earnhardt championships, his 1993 and 1987. His 1993 victory is massive, as that pretty much clears him from being eliminated at them. Lee Petty's 58 is 4th, and in last is Jeff Gordon's 01. Herb Thomas is 53, and Rusty Wallace is 89. For race number 2, Dale Earnhardt 1990 wins over Tim Flock 55, Richard Petty 72, and Dale Jarrett 99. Alan Kulwicki 92 gets last, right behind Joey Logano 2022 and Tim Flock 1952. 2 races left and heading into the penultimate event. The cut line is still tight. Only 5 points between Richard Petty 74 and Cale Yarborough 76. Dale Earnhardt 1980 floats a little bit lower in the points, and Matt Kenseth 03 is also just there as well. Terry Labonte's 1996 is trying desperately to get out of the threat, along with Jimmie Johnson's 09 and Pearson's 68. But again, an equivalent of 11 races are in the next 2 events. Homestead Miami Speedway headlines the second to last race of round 5, with Cale Yarborough 1977 winning again. Jimmie Johnson 06 finishes 2nd, with Kyle Busch 2015 3rd. David Pearson 66 gets a crucial run and helps him pretty much clear the cut line. And last though is Bobby Allison's 1983, a championship that's been pretty good so far, but right now getting that run is not what he needs. Richard Petty's 71 is 2nd to last, and Buck Baker's 57 is 3rd to last. And for race number 2, Bobby Labonte 2000 wins over Tim Flock 1955, Jeff Gordon 98, and Dale Jarrett 99. Richard Petty 67 gets last, and Jeff Gordon 97 is 2nd to last, and Tony Stewart's 05 is 3rd to last. All those drivers did not need this run going into the last race. Tony Stewart 05 is now under extreme pressure to run well. Pearson 66 is just barely in now, and Kenseth 03 is as well. Jimmie Johnson 07 now finds himself below the cut line, and Tim Flock 52 is 42nd, just barely clinging on. The last race, a 6 times points race, takes us to Martinsville Speedway, where Bobby Allison 1983 turns it around and wins over Cale Yarborough 1977. Dale Earnhardt 1987 finishes 3rd, and Richard Petty 1971 gets 4th. David Pearson 1968 gets last, and Jeff Gordon's 1995 and Rusty Wallace's 1989 gets 2nd and 3rd to last. For race 2 of the finale, Richard Petty 1967 wins over Joe Weatherly 1962. Bobby Isaac 1970 is 3rd, and Dale Earnhardt Sr. 1980 is 4th. Richard Petty 72 finishes last behind Joey Logano 2022, and Bobby Labonte 2000 finishes 3rd to last, but that won't matter. With that, it's time for your eliminations, all 12 of them. First driver out, being the worst in points, is 1992 Alan Kulwicki. He avoided being eliminated at round 4, but now Kulwicki didn't even put up a top 10 this round. He had an average finish of 19th, and officially he is eliminated by being over 700 points behind the cut line. Second to last to him is Jimmie Johnson 2010, who only got 1 top 10 this round. He had an average finish of near 17th, and was only about 100 points ahead of Kulwicki, also being eliminated by over 600 points. The next driver in front of him is Jeff Gordon 01, the first of Gordon's championships to be eliminated. Gordon's 01 was only 50 points ahead of Jimmie's 2010, but he had 4 top 5s and 5 top 10s this round. However, his worst runs sunk him. Ahead of him is Rusty Wallace's lone 1989 championship getting eliminated. Another poor run with having an average finish of 21st this round. Ahead of that is another Jeff Gordon title, the 1995 version. All 4 of Gordon's titles had advanced through the first 4 rounds, and now half of them are eliminated. Bobby Isaac 1970 finally gets eliminated, after being so close to it for 3 consecutive rounds. Richard Petty's 1974 gets eliminated, being the second of his 7 championships out. Tony Stewart's 05 is eliminated, marking Tony as being the first multi-time champion to have all of his championships eliminated. Matt Kenseth's 2003 is eliminated, taking out the last Winston Cup champion. Jeff Gordon 1997 is eliminated, marking the third of Jeff Gordon's 4 titles out. That means only one of Gordon's titles remains now, and it's the 1998 version. David Pearson 1968 gets eliminated, marking the first of David's 3 titles to be out. And the last one eliminated is Jimmie Johnson's 2007. That leaves only Jimmie Johnson's 09, 08, and 06 now, as 3 of his 7 titles left. With that, we have 44 drivers left. In the next round, 8 drivers will be eliminated, and will thankfully be the last round where I have to run double races for splitting the field in half. So other than that, hope you people enjoyed. Until next time, take care.